Welcome into the afternoon live stream. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Jerry Hamilton, as well as a young man named Kelvin Banks here. How you doing today, Kelvin?
Man, I'm doing good. Just very excited to be here. This is my first media day, so just very blessed with the opportunity.
Well, if I heard Coach Sark right, he said it might be your last. What are you talking about here? You're supposed to stay till you're a senior.
Yeah. I try to. I'm just right now just focusing on the next thing at Tats, and then right now just finishing the summer, then going to fall camp and finishing as well. So.
Gotcha. Jerry, I'll let you. You worked with, or not worked, but you watched Kelvin in high school. Big guy over here. You watched him mature now as a Longhorn and what he's grown into. Jerry, you have any questions for him?
Absolutely. So, Kelvin, you're rare freshman starter at left tackle in college football. Talk about that maturation process and where you're at headed into your junior year.
Yeah, like you said, I was fortunate enough and blessed enough to come in and play as a freshman. So I feel like the hardest position to play as a freshman, I would say, is O-line, just because of the development of your body coming in from high school to college. You just have to – it's a whole different ballgame. It's a whole different type of speed. It's a whole different type of strength. So just having that and then the development that I've had since I've been here has just been outstanding. Coach Flood has opened my game up tremendously. So that's been very good as well. And I just feel like I'm leaps and bounds ahead of where I was as a freshman.
Kelvin, I look at it and you came in, to your point, and had an immediate impact. That's like everybody's dream in recruiting, right? They all say they're going to do it, but very few are able to. But a lot of that Texas now is being recruited against. Oh, they've got Kelvin Banks. They don't need a left tackle. They got Cam Williams. He's a right tackle. Or they got this person, that person. What do you say to young people out there that might have that second thought about competing at Texas versus going somewhere else where they think they could start earlier or something?
Yeah, one thing I would say is that you won't not play at no place unless you not play yourself, as you would say. Like you can come in and I can attest to this myself. Coach Sark, if you're good, he's gonna play you. He's gonna find you a spot on the field to get you in there, get you play. You just gotta come in, handle your business, and take care of business. But really, and just believe in yourself. Don't let nobody tell you just because a certain person is here that you can't go there and play. But
it was very interesting. Not Sark, but Quinn Ewers in the breakout session we just had with you guys. He mentioned a true freshman, Ryan Wingo.
Yes.
What have you seen from Ryan Wingo that may put him in that category, similar to what you were?
Yeah, I was just saying like the willingness to learn. I'm not too much in that area. I'm just.
Yeah, you're not a skill position guy. We got you.
Block, but from what I see, he's willing to learn, and even when he does go out there and do good, he doesn't get too overly excited. So he's kind of like a steady, even keel guy. He's very hardworking. And you can tell he really wants it. Like he wants to be out there and he wants to learn. He wants to be a part of this program.
Kelvin, from your junior to the senior year, your physicality went up like 5 notches. Okay, some kid may not have woke up from your block yet his senior year. What is in front of guys like Brandon Baker, the young offensive lineman in the program, as they mature?
Yeah, I'll just say to always never doubt yourself, no matter how, okay, you're not going to be perfect throughout your whole career. There's going to be times where you mess up, times where you might miss a block. But once you get that feeling of doubt inside you, honestly, it's hard to bounce back from it because once you doubt yourself, then that's when you're going to start thinking other people are doubting you as well. So just staying confident, make sure they're working on hone their craft, be obsessed with football, and just love football to the point to where they want to go out there and be better for themselves every day.
Got a question coming in from a fan that I think is pretty good right now. Which game is Kelvin Banks most excited about this coming season? Is there a single game, or are you gonna give us the politically correct answer? What are you gonna do?
I honestly, I'm excited for all. And you can say it's
politically correct. That's what you're gonna do.
But honestly, in my opinion, I'm excited for all because every game you're kind of trying to showcase who you are as a player, no matter what team you're playing.
A lot of talk, preseason talk about you in the NFL. It's got to be a dream come true. First of all, that's what just a young player aspires to. I ask you this, where do you see yourself a year from now? Are you hoping that your dreams come true essentially?
Yeah, like you said, it's cool to see stuff like that, and
Yeah.
just like you said, since a young kid, that's something that you just dream about all the time. But I try to make sure I stay where my feet are and just focus on like the day by day opportunities and things I get to do every day, and just not look ahead. Because once you look ahead, then that's the stuff start going downhill for you. So
I got to say something. This is kind of a full circle moment for me. I saw your dad play in high school.
for real.
Your dad was a good football player in high school, big guy.
Yeah,
Really good.
talks about it.
All city player.
Okay.
Really good player as well. Out of Aldine, went to Aldine
Yes,
High.
sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Jerry, what you got? What you got next, man?
Yeah, so we had another question here. I want your comment. The first highlight they play when you get drafted will be your run block in the Big 12 championship game. Was that as satisfying of a block as you've had in college?
It sure is. I'll say it definitely is, because it's like the moment of when you make a big play like that, you kind of well, for me, I kind of just blacked out and just got very excited. Guys on my team said I looked like I was having a stroke or something. How excited I was, but just having that moment and just knowing like you physically took a guy, put him on his back, is just very cool.
The last question, because I know you got to go, Kelvin. Thanks for the time. What would be a successful season for the Texas Longhorns this year?
I would say just coming in every game with the same mindset you would come into any other game that you would play, is just always want to dominate. We playing all phases of the game through special teams, offense, defense, and just everybody coming every game to work hard. So I feel like that'll be a great season for us.
Good stuff. Kelvin Banks, a young man that has represented the University of Texas extremely well. Congratulations to you. Good luck. I know you got to go up on the podium later. That's a little bit different as well. But best of luck,
Yes,
Kevin.
sir. Thank you so much.
Take care of yourself.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
And also thank the Texas Sports Information for making this video possible.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it,
Thank
buddy.
you,
We'll
Appreciate it.
continue here now with some more. Thanks, sir. With some more information that came out of the breakaway session that Texas media had with the Longhorns. I spoke with Quinn Ewers as well as Steve Sarkisian. We'll have that up on Texas football in full a little bit later, Jerry. But I just want to say this. I mentioned it while Kelvin was here. Just a really good young man trying to do the right thing. Answers, honestly, etc. Good representative, if not great representative at the University of Texas.
No, great representative of Texas, obviously. And look, when's the last time Texas had a first-round pick on the offensive line?
Sure.
I mean, it was Mike Williams, 2002, I believe, right? Leonard Davis was 2001, so 2002. So if Kelvin has a healthy, continued productive season this year, it's going to be 22, 23 years since the last first-round pick for Texas on the offensive line. And it's going to be Kelvin Banks, and you couldn't pick a better guy for it to be. When you think about, look, he was a Oregon commit. Boy, that's scary right now for those on the chat and on OnTexasFootball.com, which you should go over there. We have coverage of all this. But you think about that, Steve Sarkisian, Kyle Flood did not panic in their first recruiting class through 5 and 7. And we talk about this all the time. They stayed on their top guys, the guys that would get them to a college football playoff and would help them win a Big 12 championship and would be the players they need in this move to the SEC. And Kelvin Banks is all of that with great culture fit, great personality, a winner's mentality. He played for a great coach, Kenny Harrison, at Summer Creek, a former Texas player, a lifetime Longhorn. And when you think about everything with Kelvin Banks, his recruitment to the player itself, that really kind of defines this program at Texas and the growth of this program at Texas under Steve Sarkisian.
I don't know if you just saw that or not, but I don't know if you just saw that or not, but I showed my camera over to Quinn Ewers, who's here next to us, hanging out to answer some questions from various media. I'm not sure if we're going to get him personally. I did do a recording of Quinn about 12 minutes long that we'll have later here on Texas Football. Look, Jerry, Quinn talked a little bit tonight or this afternoon about several different things. One of the things that struck me almost immediately during the conversation he was asked about the wide receiver room. First name out of his mouth, Ryan Wingo. He's just a quote. I think the quote was, he's just different. For his age, he is incredibly mature, physical, etc. I asked Kelvin Banks that question, because Kelvin Banks made that true freshman transition. Is Ryan Wingo that guy for Texas this year? And we've heard this, Jerry. I don't know how much more to belabor it, but we've heard great things. We saw great things in the spring. And then usually they hit a freshman wall around this time. Summer workouts, kind of gets bored with it, etc. We've heard nothing, but he's pushed completely through and made that a reality.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, Ryan Wingo, for the first impression of him we had during the 20-minute media window last spring, we were walking out. CJ Vogel saw it. We caught out a corner of our eye. He makes a one-handed catch over the middle and turns and immediately accelerates up the field. That was one of our lasting early impressions of Ryan Wingo. But here's why I think he is in position to make a huge impact on this team. He missed his senior season due to injury. So the fact that he came in mentally so prepared to come in and make an impact at Texas in the spring, had a great spring game, and that was just kind of after a strong spring. That really tells you how mentally ahead of the game he is, because, look, he battled that injury. He didn't have the senior year he anticipated, but what he did was get mentally locked in and stayed mentally locked in football throughout his recruitment. And then when he enrolled at Texas, I think he's going to be – look, we talk about it all the time. What's this wide receiver rotation going to look like? I think at the Michigan game, it's going to be about experience with some of the young guys sprinkled in. I think by midway through the year, Bobby, by the time this team gets to Oklahoma game in Dallas, I think Ryan Wingo is going to be a fixture of this offense, and it will not surprise me if he's not a starter at some point this year.
Other receivers, Quinn Ewers mentioned, talked a little bit about Silas Bolden, but that was a more pointed question. What was interesting there for me, Jerry, is Quinn says he's small, but he'll go up and get a 50-50 ball. So that's that little baller that we talked about, that he's kind of, yes, he's smaller, but he's a guy that'll go up and get it. Quinn also said they were working out every Tuesday and Thursday as a team with no coaches. They were just going out there throwing the ball around. Sark, in later conversation there, said that he was in a situation where Sark went out there yesterday to watch him, and he said, look, they looked a little bit like they did last year from a timing perspective at the same time. Sark said he was a little surprised by that. So that your own head coach said he's surprised by that. That's meaningful to me.
No question, because we were talking this morning on Coffee and Football. The biggest question around Texas offense this year versus Missouri, who has their receivers and tight end back. Jackson Dart has his receivers and tight end back, had the addition of Juice Wells if he's healthy. Then you have Georgia with a number of receivers back, and even Oscar Delp, who didn't play a lot, but he's a future NFL draft pick at tight end. Georgia, everybody has more pieces back than Quinn does. But if they're already getting that type of camaraderie, that sort of timing, that sort of feel together, I mean, and what he said about Silas Bolden, look, Silas Bolden's 5'8", 160 pounds on a good day. He has no choice but to go out-compete everybody for a football that's in the air, period. He's had to do it his whole life. But what Quinn said is that's impressive to me is if they're ahead of the game in that regard, that is a really good sign for the early season to me. Because one thing I've been saying is I think this receiver core in Quinn, midway point in the rest of the season, or by the Mississippi State game, then the whole SEC schedule is going to have a much different look than early in the season versus Texas last year. But if Quinn and these guys can get ahead of the game there, that is a really good sign going into the Michigan game.
I agree. That's what we talked about. Defense, we think, will be more prepared early.
Yep.
I'm worried about the defense more later in the season, Jerry, to be honest with you, as teams try to pick apart the Texas defense, especially the defensive front. One note on the defense that I thought was interesting today, we had not only Sark and Quinn Ewers, obviously Kelvin Banks, who just joined us here earlier, but also we had Jade Barron. And Sark was talking a little bit about Jade and about the defensive secondary. And then he started talking about the defensive front. A couple of notes on two newcomers to the defensive front that Sark had for us. First of all, Bill Norton, he says he's a big human. He goes, that's the first thing you notice. And he said he's a little bit more athletic, maybe, than you thought coming into this. He's a little more athletic. So that was good news. And then the other one, Jerry, was Jermaine Lole. Sark, his comment was, there's a lot of maturity there. And the way he approaches it and what he's trying to do with it, with football, there's a lot of maturity. Those are two good pieces that, look, I think the early season, the offense has to be better. I think the defense will be good in the early season and then perhaps fade if they get injuries. I think the offense, if they are good early in the season, the defense is going to be good. That's what they got to have, that combo at Michigan. This is what they got to do.
So here's my thought on Jermaine Lole. One, is he going to be the same player he was early at Arizona State before the 3 surgeries? No. That guy was thought of as a potential first, second round draft pick. But yesterday, we interviewed Jim Nagy, executive director of the Senior Bowl. They have Jermaine Lole as an NFL draftable grade headed into this season after he returned to the field at Louisville last year. So Texas got a guy out of the portal that could be a draft pick. Okay? Jim Nagy also, what else did he say, Bobby? He said, we really like Alfred Collins at the Senior Bowl. Okay, so you have 2 D linemen who have draftable grades right now on the Senior Bowl list heading into the season. So that position already is a little better than we probably gave it credit for. If Lole can stay healthy, and his second year back healthy should be more productive than his first. And I've said, if he gives Texas 35 tackles and 3 or 4 sacks, that's a hell of a piece for a team that's ranked in the top 10. Then the other thing with Bill Norton, you know why I'm not surprised by what Steve Sarkisian said? Georgia recruited him out of high school. Georgia has not taken a stiff on the defensive line since Kirby Smart got to Athens. Now, is he an NFL draft pick guy? I don't know. Is he an undrafted free agent guy? For sure. But here's the thing. He's practiced against Georgia's offensive line for 3 years out of high school before he transferred to Arizona. He's gone up against NFL players on the offensive line every single freaking day in practice. This is not, when he goes to Michigan, this is not going to be some sort of surprise for him, for Bill Norton or Jermaine Lole. I think Texas D-line, to your point, early in the season is going to be better than people give it credit for. Late in the season is going to be the key. And I'll say this as well. You know, we had somebody talk to us yesterday that said Aaron Bryant's going to be good. It's going to be a solid player for Texas. So, but just again for the Texas fans, Alfred Collins, Jermaine Lole, Senior Bowl draftable NFL grades headed in their senior season. You're already better than you thought with Jermaine Lole in there. Then Tia Savea was strong in the spring game. Then Bill Norton coming in. Texas is starting from a better place than I think we give him credit for. Here's the key. If those edge players can be a little more dynamic in pass rush, I have 39, 40 sacks circled this year. Texas can play more games up front. And if they can play more games up front with the interior guys, those guys are going to be more productive and disruptive than we thought. And, let's see what Dre Bledsoe does, because Fozzie Whitaker, the video there for On Texas Football that's published now, Fozzie Whitaker mentioned Dre Bledsoe. He saw a few spring practices. So I think this position is trending better than we talk about. But they still have to go prove it on the field, find that rotation.
One more thing I want to talk about that Sark went over, Jerry. And I don't know if he meant to do this or not, but he divulged a little something that we hadn't talked about yet. We've been asked the last couple of days, when is Texas getting back on the football field? When are the Longhorns going to start spring ball or fall practice in 2 days? It's 2 weeks from today. So it'll be July 31st. They're on the field, getting back after it. You and I will be in Austin, assuming that practice is open that day. So practice is literally right around the corner right now. And Longhorn fans, I mean, I think that what we need to know is if they're ready to go. And from talking to Kelvin Banks, talking to Quinn Ewers today, Jade Barron was his usual jovial self, by the way, I would say that. And listening to Steve Sarkisian, I think that's the case. At 2:20 this afternoon, it's currently about 1:30 as we're talking here on Texas Football live stream. Steve Sarkisian will get to the microphone and talk to folks, add the entire crew. Earlier, we had about 15 folks, just us and Sark and the players. Now there's going to be about 500 people he's speaking to. We'll have that video for you guys as well on the Longhorns. Jerry, anything you've heard that
Bobby,
caught your attention?
Bobby, I want to ask you something. Did Jade Barron have anything to say that caught your attention? Any of the newcomers? Did he mention Jalen Gilbo, the Javion Coles, Andrew McCubas? Because we haven't talked about what Barron had.
Yeah, he did. He was also asked what's he going to play, what position he's going to play. And I think he's looking at not only nickel, but a little corner still, in his mind at least, right? So we'll see about that. Actually, Jade didn't talk about the other guys that much. Who did was Steve Sarkisian. Steve Sarkisian likes Jalen Gilbo. I'm just going to, I'm throwing it out there because he started talking about leaders on defense. He mentioned Jalen Gilbo's name, along with Baron Sorrell, Anthony. I mean, and he said he's just approaching the game the right way, approaching practice the right way. And I don't know if he meant like true a leader, you know what I mean? But a guy that's doing it the right way and maintaining the culture that they want in Austin. I thought that was very interesting. He talked about Javion Cole as well. He said that Javion Cole, not the fastest, not the biggest, makes plays on the ball. He goes, some guys just make up for it with instincts. And that's what he said about Javion Cole and what he's seen so far.
Bobby, last thing I have for you is last year, one of the things we talked about on this channel that struck us immediately in August was Sark was confident about his team. And he was proven correct with the win over Bama, Big 12 championship, and run to the college football playoff. Do you sense the same type of confidence, or maybe even more so this year?
That's a great question, Jerry. It's perceptive from what we saw last year, I think. The answer to this is today it was not as focused on the team, but it's clear he's much more confident in Quinn Ewers. And he does think that this team will go as far to a level of what Quinn Ewers will take. And so what I mean by that is he goes, look, y'all saw him last year. He's different this year. He's acting different. He talks different. He walks in he said, Quinn Ewers right now is walking in the building like the starting quarterback at the University of Texas. There's no, head down, eyes sideways or any of that stuff. He's walking in like the head coach like the quarterback the University of Texas should. And so while he actually said of a top 5 team, by the way, as a guy of the top 5 team should. So my take on it, Jerry, is yes, he's confident, but I think he's particularly confident right now in his quarterback, number 3. That's my takeaway from it.
All right, guys, this is a special edition, a little live stream here on a Wednesday afternoon. Steve Sarkisian takes to the mic at 2:20. Quinn Ewers, Kelvin Banks, who we just had on the show. Jade Barron will meet with the print media after that, 30 minutes after that. So about 3, we'll have much more here on Texas football with coverage of that. Bobby, I guess my last thing for you is, Any other, now that you've had time to digest the media breakout session that you're a part of, anything else that kind of struck you, maybe you weren't expecting to hear today? We had heard about Ryan Wingo with Quinn Ewers. That didn't surprise us. Anything you weren't expecting today that you heard?
Yeah, couple things I would say. One was, while you're right that I was expecting some conversation about Ryan Wingo, I wasn't expecting it to be the first name out of the quarterback's mouth. That's different now. So that would be one. The second, I thought that was interesting, probably came from Kelvin Banks, separate from our conversation here. I asked him about young players and how they're coming along, whether it was Cam Williams, and he was talking about and whether or not those guys are going to be able to take over once he is gone a year from now, right? Because that's his goal, and we should all support that. He said, look, I mean, whether it's Trevor Gooseby, Jaden Chapman, mentioned Brandon Baker, he was very complimentary of all of those guys. And I asked for an example of that. He goes, look, I sat down at Monday with lunch with Trevor Gooseby. And I asked, and he's sitting there looking at his iPad, watching last season's games. And I go, what are you doing? Kelvin said, I asked him what he was doing. He goes, I'm looking to see what people did last year to you, how everything worked, what I need to do better. I mean, this is the middle of summer, July 15th, I guess, 2 days ago. And Trevor Gooseby, the backup at left tackle, is looking at video during lunch. That caught my eye, because the reason that, or my ear, I guess, because that doesn't happen all the time. That's not how life really works with high school or with college football players. They've got other things going on. And so when you talk about culture and whether or not they are maintaining it, because a lot of people asked him, you lost 11 guys to the pros, or at least 11 draft picks to the pros. What does that mean? And have you kept that leadership going? And he goes, yeah, it's part of the culture. And he used Trevor Gooseby as an example of the culture, that it's not just these guys, the adult, and then not the adults, but the juniors and seniors, the upperclassmen. It's actually the whole team that's catching on to it.
Did anybody ask Kelvin Banks about Trey Moore, Colin Simmons?
There was no specific question related to those guys or who gave him the most trouble in practice. He did mention that he thinks that they've got a good group over there, but didn't mention specific names. Did not do that. All right, Jerry, that's going to do this special live stream. We appreciate you guys for stepping in. We're going to get ready for this 2:20, this other meeting here at 2:20, where we're going to listen to Steve Sarkisian address the media, then take additional questions. We're also going to be there for the breakout sessions for Jade Barron, as well as Quinn Ewers, and of course, Kelvin Banks. We would like to thank the University of Texas for allowing Kelvin Banks to join us at the early part of this live stream. If you haven't watched it, make sure you get a chance to go back and watch the front end if you're just now joining us. But for Jerry Hamilton, I'm Bobby Burton, live from the Omni in Dallas. This is SEC Media Day special on Texas football. Hook 'em.